Hey folks, John here, Old Hickory Forge. Welcome back. If it's your first time here, welcome. So what's going on today, I'm down here in the workshop. I got some production forging to do. Need to get moving on a batch of flatters. I figured I'd bring you guys along. In the last video, a lot of people expressed a lot of interest in that kind of thing. So if you want to check it out, stick around. So what we got to start with is 2-inch round 1045, same steel I use for my hammers. Cut off at about 4 3/8 inches long. This will give us enough material to upset to make the faces of the size we want. This is about a little over 4 1/4 pounds of material. You know, should be plenty. So let's get moving. First things first, before any heavy work, you want to make sure the ram of your press is nice and greased. So just a little bit once a week or so, plenty. Alrighty, so what I just did is I squared up about the back half of the billet or so to about 1.5 inches square, broke the corners. What I got here is a special swage I made for making flatters. It's a piece of 1-inch plate with a 1.5 inch square hole. I drifted open and broke the corners. 1/4 inch walled square tubing, shank of the tool drops down in there like that and we can upset the face. This next step goes kind of quick, so I'm going to go ahead and explain it now so I'm not worried about talking while I'm trying to do it. Our top die is just a piece of flat plate. We got this swage that I mentioned just a minute ago. Basically what we got to do is run in here. The billet needs to be screaming hot, because ideally you do this in one go. The more heats you have to take, the more chance there is of it getting off center and you having to fight with it. Don't want to do that if you don't have to, so we got to run in here, drop the billet in, stick that baby into the bottom die slot, and try to upset that as quick as we can. So, just wanted to show you guys real quick. We had those flatter billets pushing welding heat, and this is what PSI we're running at with the ribbon burner. Pretty cool, I think. So here's what we got after the initial upset. Shanks are looking good, they're nice and centered. Next step is basically just square it up, upset it, square it up, upset it until you get it looking how you like it. Alrighty, got the faces squared up to the size I want them. I like about a 2 3/4 inch square face with some nice broken corners. We're just going to run it gently through the swaging die one more time to get it good and flat. Save us some time on the grinder, and then we'll get to work punching the eyes. Alrighty, so punching these eyes is kind of a complex operation. It happens quick, but there's a lot of steps. So I'm going to talk about it now, so I'm not worried about trying to explain it as I go. First thing we're going to do is mark the eye out at the anvil with our hammer eye punch, just so we've got a good mark when we come in here to the press. We'll sit the flatter up on here with the face hanging off of that side. We'll use this tool we made the other day. Punch most of the way through. Over there, off camera, I've got a thing of beeswax to keep this cool. Even though it's not in the billet very long, it being forced into it creates a lot of friction, and these tools heat up very fast. And because the age 13 of the tool is harder than the mild steel it dies, I've got a piece of sacrificial scrap steel. After we get the eye punched, we'll throw this here bolster block up here. We'll open the eye up just a little bit by driving the tool in from each side. And then we got a... this is a little drift that gets the hammer eye, or what have you, about halfway to its finished dimension. So after we get all that done, we'll use the bolster block and drive that through. You'll see it as I go. It's hard to explain, but you'll see. So here's about what you end up with after the preliminary punching and drifting operation. Like I said, it's a lot of steps, but they all happen pretty fast. A lot of moving back and forth to the anvil to the press. Thinking about getting me another swage block to keep right there and moving that hammer steel somewhere else, so I have something to, you know, smack this on to release my tooling. But we'll keep moving. So now we need to start forging down the sheets and getting the eye shaped out. A couple of times per side, and then I'll go into the press to smooth everything up and get a nice crisp clean looking finish. Alrighty, Alrighty, we're looking good. Got the eye shaped, got the touch mark in there. Last step is to bring this the face back into perpendicular, and I'll show you how to do that real quick. So basically we'll take kind of a short heat just on the face and the material directly behind it. We got a flat die on the bottom. We'll tilt this thing to where the shank needs to be, gently press down from the top, and that'll fix it. See what I mean? You got it nice and square now, so we'll let that baby cool and we'll hit the grinder. Alrighty, we got the faces ground flat, got the struck ends dressed up. I've gone ahead and broken the corners of the eye with the die grinder. Next step before heat treat is we need to run the drift through from each side one more time. Even though I like to fit my top tools without a wedge, I still like to ship them with the hourglass shaped eye you'd have on a hammer, so if whoever buys it does want to fit it with a wedge, they can. So we'll do that real quick, normalize these babies 3 times and go from there. To heat treat these things, I only want the working face to be hardened. The struck end especially you want dead soft. 1045 is normally a water quench steel. With the way these are shaped, however, and there's so much more thermal mass in the center of the face and the edges harden a lot faster, I actually have been using this Parks 50 fast quenching oil. It has a quenching speed not too much slower than water, so it still hardens the steel, but it's less aggressive of a quenching medium, and a flatter doesn't really need to be as hard as something like a hammer anyway. They're still going to be tempered at 400 for an hour just to get any residual stress out, but that's how I'm heat treating these things. Alrighty, so the next day we got these guys out of the vinegar. Hopefully that loosened the scale up pretty good. So we'll take the wire brush to them, get the scale cleaned off. Then we'll take the faces up the grits a little bit and then polish them out. I like to go 120 and then take a medium Scotch-Brite belt to them. Gets a nice satin finish on the face. And then we'll make the handles. Alright, got these babies wire wheeled off. Faces are polished up. It's kind of dirty, but you get the idea. This one here came out kind of ugly. There's some stray forging marks and the face is a little bit rhombused. So I'm not going to sell this one. I'll probably just finish it later and keep it for myself or give it to someone or something. But now we just got to make handles for these things. To half these babies, what I use is ash. This is 1 by 1.25 inches. I buy this in 3x3 turning stock and then I rip it down on the table saw into blanks. Basically, we just need kind of a long taper. I like to friction fit mine without a wedge. Like I said, they do have the hourglass shaped eye, so if you buy a tool from me and you want to put a wedge in it, the eye is properly sized for you to do it. But here's what we got. Last step, got a nice 5-gallon bucket of boiled linseed oil. I soaked the halves in there for an hour or 2 hours. Sometimes overnight, if I'm doing this like towards the end of the day, it's easy to do it that way, but a couple hours is really plenty. So I'll soak these and then turn them over and soak the heads and whatnot. So there you have it. A lot of people had expressed more interest in seeing more production work and what kind of goes on day to day here in the shop. So I just thought I'd bring you guys along for a little bit of production work. I hope you liked the video. If you did, let me know in the comments. If you didn't, let me know in the comments. But that's all I got for you. If you like what you saw, like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Always more cool stuff coming. Patrons of the channel, big thanks to you, and y'all take care.